general election, which looks like the most obvious thing in the world to do because it's the only thing that could shake up parliamentary arithmetic and break the deadlock. But thanks to the Fixed Term Parliaments Act, there's only two ways to make that happen. Option one is that Parliament votes by a 2/3 majority to have an early general election. That's what happened in 2017. Or, and this is what happens if the government fucks up big time, someone has to table a specifically worded motion of no confidence, which, if it passes by a simple majority, means that we get a new government. If that new government can't get a motion of confidence to be passed in it within 14 days, then we get a general election. But while the Tories and the DUP are fighting over the Irish backstop, the one thing that unites them is their shared fear of a Jeremy Corbyn-led Labour government. And for that reason, the thing that makes the most sense is not going to happen. Option number two is that we just have a second referendum and bypass Parliament entirely. Even if Jeremy Corbyn put his full weight behind a second referendum, it would require the involvement of the executive to make it happen at all. And so far, Theresa May has issued a swift fuck no to any suggestions that she would put her deal before the people. In my view, it's not incredibly likely that Labour would call in full throat for a second referendum, because while it's one of their options on the table after they voted at conference, 78% of the seats that they need to nab off the Conservatives are found in Leave voting constituencies, so ain't gonna happen. So that leaves us with option three, what Parliament are trying to do at the moment, which is cobble together a new deal. Due to an amendment that passed last week, Theresa May has got 3 days to make like you're cramming for an exam and present something new before Parliament. We've got to talk about a no-deal Brexit because, fortunately or unfortunately, that is the legislative default. Unlike a negotiated deal or a second referendum, it doesn't need a parliamentary majority to happen. The minute we triggered Article 50 all the way back in 2017, that was going to be what we faced if we couldn't cobble anything else together. Now, there's conflict about what a no-deal Brexit would mean, but the government's own impact assessment suggests that it could turn Kent into a big lorry park and pharmaceutical shortages would mean you couldn't even self-medicate to make it better. So everything I've outlined so far is either awful or unlikely, which leaves us with the last option. Kick the can down the road, which would be, in the grand British tradition of putting off to tomorrow what you can do today. We've had 2 years of wrangling over what Brexit means, and we might have a few months more. Chancellor Philip Hammond, in a phone call to business leaders, was suggesting that the government might go for an extension of Article 50. And indeed, the EU have already been discussing a technical extension. So what that means is you will have to watch this video all over again in a few months' time, but inshallah, they'll upgrade me to a studio.